Okay, all right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And thank you, Esi, so much for joining us today. I was telling you backstage that, I got to see Esi win an award this year for the Ad Club Marketer of the Year. And her speech was so amazing. And you brought your family, and our whole table just had goosebumps because she's just get ready to hear some incredible insights and purpose-driven leadership that I think everybody will love to hear from you. We'll do some quick intros. I'll go first. I'm Meredith Brace, and I'm the CMO of Samba TV. If you haven't heard of Samba TV, we're a cross-screen TV measurement and data company. I know that sounds very exciting to most of you, brands, but it's pretty cool technology to understand for publishers and brands and agencies, kind of where their advertising is going and how to be more efficient. And then if you're going to the floor, we have a very cool Samba AI demo at the TCL booth with some super cool stuff for the future of advertising experiences on television. Esi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, that could take the full time. You said a little bit about myself. So my name is Esi Bracey. A little known fact, Esi means little girl born on Sunday. It's common in the God language. Johari means jewel, and my family calls me that. So when I talk to myself, I say Johari. So it's weird that I'm Esi Bracey. Bracey is my married name. So that's one personal fact about myself. I lead Unilever's business in the U.S. I'm the president of the U.S. Organization at Unilever. But I also have another job, which is I lead the personal care business as the CEO in North America. I'm originally from Chicago, and I live in New York.
Awesome. I do too. I'm a Brooklyn girl. All right, let's just get into this. So, here we are at the beginning of 2023. We were all just thrust into this conference at the beginning of the year. So we're all thinking about 2023 and what it has in store for us. What are your priorities for US Unilever for this year?
Yeah, at Unilever, like so many of our companies, we are just obsessed with growth. And the uniqueness, I think, about being obsessed with growth is we're looking to have a deeper and deeper impact. And we think about growth as earning our growth. Not pushing for growth, but really earning our growth through a deeper impact. And when I think about deepening our impact, it's first in our people and teams. We just concluded a huge organization restructure, probably the biggest in almost 2 decades. And it got rid of Unilever's matrix. We had one of the last standing big CPG matrices. And in getting rid of that matrix, it has focused us more on categories instead of broad markets. And it's allowed our teams to get focused more clearly on people, a category in a market. When I say focused on people, I use people in place of the word consumer because I think consumption is one aspect of people. But what we really choose to do is serve people more deeply. So, our priorities are growth by unlocking the power of our people and our teams internally through this new organization structure, deepening our impact on the people that we serve. Of course, superior products. That's the foundation in that consumption moment, but even broader than that, our human needs. And then thirdly, deepening our impact on our customers, our retail customers and their shoppers, et cetera, and helping them drive their categories. So, those are our priorities, growth.
I love it. I've read about your approach to human-centric marketing and how you build brands. So I think that's really important to think about and that you're breaking down walls even within the organization to bring that approach to life. So very, very cool. All right. How are people and consumers viewing big brands today? Given all the things in our macroeconomic environment and just, it's been a crazy few years. And so I'd just love to hear your thoughts on how that impacts how people think about brands.
And yeah, maybe I'll give you some background because maybe not everyone knows. My answer is going to be big brands matter more now than ever before. But I have a portfolio of big brands. Unilever's U.S. business is a $9 billion business that has brands like Dove, Axe, Shea Moisture, Tresemme, Hellmann's, Ben & Jerry's. Big brands. And there was a time in the industry, particularly in beauty, but not limited to beauty, where I've spent a lot of time in beauty, probably 20 of my 30 years in the business in beauty. We wondered is there a role for big brands? Because we saw all the disruption of, indie brands, newer brands. And I think we've seen a cycle of that. There's room for both of those, but more than ever, big brands matter. And why? It's because trust matters more than anything. So if a brand is big or small is not the point. It's if the brand is trusted and if the brand is authentic. And the question is, how do you build trust? You build trust through a track record. So in that way, many big brands are older brands and they have advantage, right? If they've had time and experience and a track record. You build trust through authenticity, which is you do what you say. You are, what you promise, right? And so you have the ability to do that. You build trust through values and living your values. And so I think about big brands. I think about our brands like Dove, have a long track record, over 50 years of being in the market and 20 years campaigning for real beauty and consistently doing that and reimagining what it looks like. Brands like Shea Moisture that are 30 years old. You think about sometimes Shea Moisture, a brand known for textured hair, but more, as being a newer brand. No, 30 years of building trust in the market with people, not just consumers. And we call Shea Moisture a brand that is not a brand of products. It is a brand that is a mission with products. And its mission is about serving women of color and creating entrepreneurs and having us be our most confident selves through our hair, et cetera. So the short answer is big brands matter more than ever before. But the double click answer is trust is what matters most. And big brands have the opportunity to demonstrate and create that trust because there's a track record.
That makes sense in a world of uncertainty that you're going to rely on the things and the brands that you trust the most. Another thing that I know you're passionate about is purpose-driven marketing. How do you view purpose-driven marketing today? Any differently than you did in the past?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm deeply passionate about purpose. And at the same time, I kind of avoid the word purpose because I think it's throwaway and a bit of a cliche to all brands need to have a purpose, blah, blah, purpose. And I don't think that's the point. For me, the point is back to what you asked about, which is human centricity. It's about people. And you earn and create a business by understanding what matters to people. And consumption, again, is one moment of that. But when you unravel that onion, you find that other things matter to people. So let's talk about beauty, for instance. Many of us sell beauty products. You can think, okay, I want my hair to be fuller and look more beautiful. What is at the source of that? If you keep unraveling that, I want to be seen and felt in the world. I want to be seen as beautiful. Why? I want to feel confident. I want to make a difference. I want to be noticed. So what purpose does in the case of beauty is identify beyond making your hair look beautiful, what can you do to help those broader needs? And when purpose matters, your question was, what is purpose today? It's picking something that you have the right to make a difference for the people that you serve. And often that is close to the space your product plays. And so in the case of beauty, and in the case of Dove, for instance, one of the things that we've done at Unilever with Dove is certainly we have hair shampoos and conditioners that work for all hair types as a part of our promise for beauty inclusivity, but we also champion for the end of race-based hair discrimination to make sure that people are seen in beauty. So that's purpose. And I think that's the role of purpose. And it's questioned, does purpose build brand loyalty? And my answer is absolutely, if you are picking an area to campaign, champion, make a difference, programs in that matter to the people that use your product and they care about and they connect deeply with that. Another example I'll use is one of our Unilever brands, Hellmann's. It's a condiment and it's about, it's all about taste, right? And enhancing the taste of different foods. Its purpose is around make taste, not waste. And so all the food waste, it finds delicious ways to use leftovers. And that's its purpose. It's campaigning for the end of food waste, but it's so connected to what people will expect for the product. What do they want from a mayo? For it to taste great. And then they're delighted they have amazing opportunities to make the most of the foods that are in their cupboards and refrigerators, et cetera. So it has an important role.
Purpose-driven marketing. I love that.
It is. That's why I don't like the word purpose so much. Yes. It's about meeting people's needs in a bigger way than you might imagine your product initially doing, and deepening that connection with people. So it matters, I believe.
Love it. And it matters to consumers and obviously building your business. But it really, to me, I've worked at companies that are very thoughtful about this, it really impacts culture, right? Of the teams that feel like they're working towards the right thing.
Yes. Clear. It is a part of what we call the employee value proposition. When we look at people who work at Unilever and we ask them why do you work at Unilever? The majority will say, because it's a chance to make a difference. I believe in the purpose. Broader globally, we say our purpose is to make sustainable living commonplace. In layman's terms, that really means to have everyone take part in making the world a better place and having access. And people buy into it. So yes, having a chance to do that on brands.
Great. Okay. What other channels do you see as priorities for growth, as Unilever, as a CPG company?
Yeah, we've all been on diversifying our digital commerce business, and that continues to be continue to be an opportunity, because if you look at people and their shopping habits and how they want to use commerce, our business is not as developed still in digital commerce. Now, digital commerce, again, I hate to put labels on things because it seems like old news. But if you look at the explosion and how layered the access is to technology virtually and physical, that is changing. So the priority is to use both physical and virtual experiences and retail opportunities to continue to grow. So that's in terms of channels. And then it's, of course, to continue to unlock growth in our core channels. When I say our core channels, there's physical retail and mass, there's physical retail in grocery, there's physical retail in dollar stores. So continuing to expand our presence in digital channels, omni-channel, but continuing to build out the physical experience, which people are more and more thirsty for, and those are connecting.
Okay, to expand on that a little bit, we are at CES, this is about innovation. What do you think will be the fastest growing consumer trend in the next few years?
Yeah, I think what has been fast growing will continue to grow, which is in wellness. And what is wellness? Wellness is multifaceted. Piece of wellness is health, right? And it's vitality. A piece of wellness is also holistic well-being, which is mental well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being. All of that will continue to grow. And then walking the floor, how many of us saw all the incredible health tech and the power of putting our own health and vitality in our own hands? If it's things that reduce stress and technology, if it's things to test our hydration and other conditions that we might have, the health of our eyes. So unbelievable, I thought, the technology in the space that is continuing to grow. And our beauty health, our skin health, and then ingestibles, things that we can do to make a difference. I was looking at topicals that actually improve your mental stress, right? There are ingredients, you'll see more and more things that you ingest applied topically that can absorb into bloodstreams that can actually make a difference in your health. So certainly wellness and well-being.
Can't wait to see some of those come to market. All right, you bring, as we've talked about throughout the session, you bring such passion and purpose to everything you do. Can you tell us about some of your personal passion projects? Personal passion projects. So I have personal passions and I have projects. Not always the same thing.
Not always the same thing. A lot of the passions we've talked about, I really do believe that big trusted brands can grow. And we've seen that at Unilever. It's high single-digit growth across brands like Dove and Hellmann's and Dove Men Plus Care, big brands that make a difference. But the other thing I really believe in is using you as your superpower. And in the 30 years that I've been in business, what I've learned is to be more and more of myself, and how that has driven business. And that sounds in some ways like motherhood and apple pie, and in business sessions do you talk about that? But it's been unbelievable gaining the confidence to bring my instincts and who I am uniquely to the business. The old adage, I think Marilyn Monroe said this, trying to be someone else is a waste of who you are, but helping people bring that to the business, this concept of the business of you. I mentioned the Crown Act, but there's so many other things. I'm passionate about wellness and well-being and have been for decades, bringing that into the business. We did some research with my university in Germany, and the research from the University of Germany showed that taking baths 2 times a week for 30 minutes has a bigger impact on your well-being than exercising for 45 minutes 2 times a week. Well-being, mental well-being, proven in research studies. So I am passionate about, and with that, we use that insight and created a brand called Beloved that is thriving at Target through the insights through the pandemic. So what does that have to do with personal passion? Passionate about well-being, bringing that to the business and creating a big business behind that. Another one of my passions is diversity and inclusion and beauty, having everyone included in that beauty definition. And out of that personal passion that I was able to bring into the Dove brand, started this incredible movement called the Crown Act, where there are 20 states that have passed anti-race-based hair discrimination legislation. And in my old days, when I started out, I would never bring that personal passion to the business. It's not appropriate. But business leader, I keep those personal passions aside. And what I've learned year after year, the more I bring that into the business, not only the more fulfilled I am, the more businesses grow. And our job is to do that for all of our teams. Find a way to connect their superpowers to our growth opportunities so that our business and our people will thrive. And I'm particularly passionate about that.
I love that. I think you're definitely seeing those walls kind of come down from the history of keep your personal life separate, keep your business life separate, and you can bring those passions into work, and it shows your true self. So I love that you're doing that. You're such a decorated, awarded leader. What do you think are opportunities for leaders that you can share with throughout your career that have really, you've touched on a lot of them, but are there any others that you can think about?
People talk about servant leadership. I always try to ask the question, how can I help? And one of my goals is to be useful. How can I help? And I think as a business leader, reframing our job as being a business leader, but being someone that helps makes a difference. So who do we help? We help people, and we help our companies or our businesses. And when you put those things together, you can drive the business. You figure out where you can help your teams and where you're in the way. You figure out where you can provide resources, where you can make choices, take risk and make bold choices to help the enterprise, and when you can't. So I think that's one. And the other is back to things I'm passionate about. And I talked about being your authentic self. The other in the space of inclusivity, it's also about how we can make wherever we are better off than it was before we came into it. And in the space of inclusivity, another passion, and being at CES around inclusivity, it makes me think how we can bring that as a community, as leaders. We have so much more to do in inclusivity. One of the things that we've done and is highlighted here at CES is one of my brand's degree. We really believe in the inclusivity of movement. We think about inclusivity often in terms of gender and ethnic inclusivity. But then there's also inclusivity of people that experience disabilities, thinking about inclusivity broadly and how we can do that. And at Degree, we believe in the democratization of movement, that everyone should have the right to move and the confidence to move. And of course, the deodorant gives you confidence to move. And so, we use torture tests like running marathons. We're not done yet, keep going. And we realized in the metaverse, people think it's devoid of physical challenges, but actually the metaverse is perpetuating those. So we created something on Degree. Instead of the marathon, we did the metathon. And what we did is we worked with Centraland to make sure we had more diversity in avatars, so that we have people who are moving in wheelchairs, people in running blades, so that you could identify yourself in who you are, not have to be someone different or take on that persona. So the other place is in it really driving inclusivity and a broader view of the people in the world that we want to represent and drive inclusivity. Certainly gender inclusivity, certainly ethnic inclusivity, but also diversity in its broadest sense, inclusive of people who are differently able.
Okay, last question, and then we'll see if we have time for Q&A from the audience here. But we are at CES. We're talking about the future. We're thinking about the future. Where do you see Unilever in the next 5 years, specifically for the U.S.?
Yeah, specifically for the U.S., there are a few things. We are committed to increasing the health, confidence, and well-being of all people in the world, and in particularly in the U.S. We are committed to creating a fairer, more inclusive world. We're committed to improving the health and well-being of the planet. And where I see us in 5 years is making much more progress in that area in a few ways. One is what I talked about, is through more human centricity, being more connected with people than ever before, and having programs, products that serve them in delivering those three things that I just mentioned. The other is a portfolio that is more in growth spaces. We talk about improving the health, confidence, and well-being. It's access to more nutritious foods. That is a massive journey. And that's not just in products we sell. It's in agriculture and how we build agriculture that is more accessible and healthier and more nutritious. So I see us making progress across all those ambitions. And I also see us having a portfolio that is diverse, that weathers the storm for the good times and the bad times. And what I mean by that is higher priced items and lower priced items. Brands that people trust, that are iconic and have been around for generations and generations, and some newer ones. So I see that dynamism in the next 5 years. More progress than even we've made today in those areas.
Great. Well, that certainly makes me more hopeful for what's to come. All right, we'll move to I'm not sure how you guys want to handle this, but we can move to some audience Q&A. Here you go. Sure. It's a small room. Everybody should hear.
Yeah, loud voice. Yeah, and we talked about this a little earlier. When you say channels, you mean retail channels?
Not necessarily retail channels, but marketing channels.
Ah, yes. Thank you for that. My phone, I don't know why it's ringing and clicking. I think it's saying the biggest space for me is in what I mentioned around the confluence of virtual and physical. The pandemic, I think, has accelerated the need for connection. But at the same time, what the pandemic has done is made easy, instant access table stakes and non-negotiable. So pre-pandemic, and I'm going to talk about a retail channel, we were talking about the acceleration of e-commerce. Now it's like anytime, any place I want it, I expect to have it. That's not a delight. That's an expectation. The delight comes in the connection that you build. And what I see, you asked about a growth channel, is figuring out how to make the expected, the respect, the basic experience exciting again, right? That e-commerce connection, the thrill of buying that's not just transactional lower funnel. That's where the growth is going to come in. And in what, we consider upper funnel, how we're able to interact with that so I can get an instant. I don't have to put it on a shopping list and think about it. I can have it. So the growth is going to come in moving connections, connecting the digital and the physical and connecting us to one another. Something we were looking at in wellness, people want to work on themselves, but they want to work on themselves together. We want to have confidence in what, other people's goals are, but we want the privacy of our own. That's where I see, in the context of your question around marketing, that's the growth channel. It's not an official channel, but it's like flipping it on its ear from digital to physical, but connecting the dots in that area, but also from functional to delight, desire, and experience in every transaction, because we're craving that right now. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah from My Code. I also really loved what you said in front of you. I came in late, so I didn't catch all of it, but the part that I did catch was show up as your authentic self. A lot of the things that you care about, I have personal history with and I care deeply about, and so I would love to learn more about how Unilever is doing things, because I feel like a big brand like that has so much influence and market share really can help move the needle for people that are disabled, that live in communities where there are food scarcity issues. These are things that I think as a society are really, really like at the very top, and we all have talents to be able to like move it in the direction. But how are you thinking about how those things integrate? Because from my perspective and personal experience, there is not any one of those that is in a silo. They all are integrated and have.
Completely agree with what you said, not in a silo and integrated. There are a few things that I want to say. The biggest opportunity is to systematize it. So I joined Unilever in 2018. I chose Unilever because I saw it as a company that was intentional and purposeful, that wanted to move beyond the transaction of the product, but into making a bigger impact. Why I say that is it allows you to systematize a diversity, inclusive, impactful agenda. And we have something called our compass strategy. Those 3 pillars I talked about, it's systematized. It's the expectation. So what that enables me to do and the brands to do is come up with the way forward for the brand. That way forward first has to start with earning our right, which is delivering on products, which is commanding investment from people. Then we can invest in communities and we can invest in society. So it starts first with systematizing it through the corporate or brand or market philosophy, and then using that opportunity to figure out how your brand or you as a person has the right to contribute to that. I chose Unilever for the ability to do that. Then I've taken advantage of that to go even further, to move at scale against that. The other thing for me in terms of personal authenticity, I went through a journey. When I first joined corporate America back in 91, I was hiding myself from the organization because that's what I was taught to do. Who I am personally, that's not work. And then I had an aha moment. And that was 4 years into my work experience when I did some diversity training, and the instructor teaching, the facilitator, was explaining how junior women in the company, this was many years ago now, couldn't relate to senior women because they found the senior women more masculine than the men. And that was not a fault of the women, it's the organization, the amoeba that it is, that what women had to do to survive. And the miss is we allow the amoeba to exist because we don't give ourselves to it so that it can change. And always being an advocate of diversity and inclusion, in that moment, I saw that I was doing exactly that. At first, I thought, those women, they shouldn't do that. I thought, oh my God, that's what I'm doing. I'm pretending I'm getting my shoe shines with my fellow colleagues. And really, I want to go get my manicure, but I'm not telling them that. And it was in that moment that I made a choice. That's when I had a straight hair, a perm, and little glasses. It wasn't blonde. Like, I made a conscious choice to be myself, and it was so uncomfortable. I felt naked, like I was coming in. I cut off my hair and wore my little natural. I felt naked but I forced myself into that. So what your question is about the business, but there's also a personal choice we have to make. And then what I got out of it was so much more than I got because I got to be myself and bring that to the business, but I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the organization. So what I wanted to say is a personal point of moving past our comfort zone and fear of risk and bringing ourselves so that we can champion for those things. And 2, looking to systematize it. So it's not one-off and you can find colleagues, companions, and create a movement when you do that.
And thank you for leaning into that discomfort because I think that has made it easier for me to do that as a woman, in leadership subsequently to where you're at in your career.
Thank you. We all play a role in playing it forward. And it's a gift, back to being of service. It's not for us. It's for our organization and it's for other people. So leaning into that changes that amoeba.
These have been great questions. Thank you, everybody. We have time for one more quick question.
So you said that you went through one of the major reorganizations to stop talking and focusing on consumers and start focusing on people. And I'm assuming you did the same with shoppers. So it's people, right? One of the things that I find the most difficult is interdepartmental alignment. So how did you do then to bring those capabilities together, shopper marketing and consumer marketing under people marketing?
That's such a great question. And it's probably a long answer. From a Unilever perspective, our old structure made it very challenging to do that. And we were in more silos. And our new structure with more category focus, as a CEO of the North America personal care business, have accountability for a shopper. That was separate. That lived within sales or customer development. I have accountability for a shopper in my business, plus consumer and people together in the market. And I have access to my global teams of where I need resources to integrate that. So our new structure allows for more end-to-end. It's exactly what you said. It's a person. So why do we have a shopper over here and a consumer over here and purpose programs over there? We have to bring them together, right? And so when you can, the magic was not trying to solve it across multiple brands and multiple categories all at once. It was breaking it down into a category so that we could bring it together, if that answers your question. And that was that big restructure was moving to these 5 business units that allow us to do that with the enterprise of the company behind it. We call it the focus of 5 and the power of 1, whereas before it was more this oneness everywhere that created more functional silos, and we couldn't connect the dots around any specific person and their and their category. Does that make sense?
All right. Well, again, thanks for the questions. Thank you, Esi, so much. It was lovely talking with you.
Thank you for the conversation, and thank you for coming.